very round irises in the middle of the eye where the colorful part is, and the pupil will be inside of. So if you're having trouble understanding how round things look free-handedly like this, I'm kind of going around and around trying to get it just right. But if you're having trouble getting it on your own, one trick I found is to take a marker cap like this, and with your pencil sideways you can kind of put some pencil lead or graphite on the edge of this plastic cap. And this is actually a pretty good size for an iris, life-size iris actually. The one I drew here was pretty big. So if I put a little bit of graphite on here, I might be able to take this and print it by sort of rotating the cap pretty hard down. And yeah, it worked. I have a little circle here that I can use as a guide, and then I can sort of trace over that lightly. And that's a pretty good circle because this is manufactured in a factory in a very precise kind of way. If you're having trouble with drawing circles by yourself, that might be a good trick for you. So after a while, you don't really need the marker cap, but I still need to rotate over and over and over again. Especially if I haven't drawn for a while, I might be a little bit shaky. And it's really hard too to make a circle slowly, I find. It's much easier to draw it if you keep moving the pencil. And after a while, you get used to the feeling of that roundness, and then it becomes a little bit more automatic. But that one is obviously not very circular. It's kind of an oval. And though this is kind of round, it's a little bit bumpy. So the reason for the rotation, the repeating rotations, is that you each time fix the mistakes that came before it.
Good morning, Storm School. Happy Thursday.
So we're going to use the marker trick again. I'm going to take my pencil and color the edge of this cap with some graphite. And that'll help me get a perfect circle as I print it down on the paper. So I'm going to push it and kind of twist it a little bit. And I can see a very light shade of graphite there. And then you can gently draw it a little bit darker. Don't go too dark yet, because we're going to erase some of that in a bit. But that's a good size too for kind of a life-size eye. That will be the iris of the eye. And then we're going to put a pupil in the middle of that. It's got to be the exact center of that little circle. And it's too like a little small round circle. The third thing we're going to add is a curve over the top of the iris at the top. It's not touching the pupil, but it might be getting a little close. And it exceeds the limit of the iris by a little bit. It doesn't go too far, and it's not too short. Kind of reminds me of a fin of a shark or a dolphin. Imagine the shark has a fin on the top of its back. Think of that, because you really want that hook shape to show that this is a circle and not just a letter U. A lot of times that looks a bit like this. People will draw the eyelid and then they'll draw the letter U, but that doesn't look as round or circular as this one, because this actually goes back into itself for the complete circle. This one, if you're going to continue on, it kind of looks a bit egg-shaped or oval-shaped. So we're not going to draw the letter U there. We want a little bit more roundness. So hook it back into itself like that. So once the eyelid's on there, You can darken the top of that a little bit and then erase the top part of the circle. We don't need that anymore. The fourth part of this will be a line that's doubling this shape here, just above it. And that's the folded part of the eyelid. And sometimes you can see different parts of it depending on the eyebrows of the person. Everybody looks different. This is just the most simple way to teach this eye, is like it's pretty symmetrical left to right. And this is also pretty symmetrical, just to keep it easy for this beginning drawing that we're doing. The center of the face, where the nose would be and maybe the other eye is over here, I'm going to put the lightest little corner right like that. It's like a little bit of a, not quite of a triangle, not quite a circle, but somewhere in between that. And that's the tear duct. That's going to be where the moisture for the eyes squirts out, kind of like the thing on the car where you clean your windshield wipers and they will clean the window. So these have little holes, and that's where the shininess comes from of your eye. And to make it look more shiny, we're going to designate a little space here, just lightly draw maybe like a little shiny oval or something to make a shiny reflection highlight right there. And then everything else we're going to color in gently. And all of a sudden that looks much more shiny because of that little reflection space. The top is going to be darker, and I'm going to go lighter as I go down the iris. Okay, and then the eyelashes I'm going to save for later after I do some shading, because some people may not want even to have a lot of eyelashes on there. And you might be wondering, well, where's the bottom of the eyelid? Where's this one going to be? A lot of times you don't see a very dark lower eyelid, but to show where it's at, I'm going to do a trick. I'm going to take my finger and smear all of this, pushing pretty hard and making the background of the eye gray. And then what I can do is retrace these dark parts, retrace the pupil, that's going to be probably the darkest part of the whole thing, retrace the iris ring, this will be darker than the rest of the iris usually, and then I'm going to use my eraser, that I hope you have a good little sharp eraser at the bottom, erase the highlight, and also erase these corners where the whites of the eye would be. Sorry for bumping the camera there. Like that. And that kind of shows you the difference between the cheek and the eye right there, just with the shape. I didn't outline it, but I made it clear that the color is different, or the value is different. If you want to add a little bit of corner shading here and there, you can do that. Just draw a little bit lighter than the top. The top will be the darkest, and the thicker line there to designate, again, the eyelashes will be up there. And then this line, I need to darken it still. If you want it to be more eyelashy, if that's a word, they're going to come out at an angle that way, and then as they go towards the pupil area, they're going to start to go upward, and they're going to get a little bit harder to see there. They're going to be a little bit easier to see on this side because they're swooping down and overlapping each other. And then the lower eyelashes, if you wanted to show them a little bit more, like if you've got some I guess makeup or something on, you might show them a little bit darker like that, and they're smaller than the tops and maybe harder to see, but you don't want to overdo it, especially if you don't want to look like you're wearing makeup. So if you want them to be a little bit less eyelashy, don't draw them, just darken the top, and you don't even have to draw the lines of the eyelashes. But if you do want the eyelashes, you can see the difference there. And you can go thicker and more dark if you wanted to. But as soon as you start drawing the bottom eyelid, you can see how it changes the whole look of this thing. It looks to be like maybe you're wearing some kind of eyeliner or something under here. And a lot of people do wear a lot of eye makeup, but if you're not into that, you don't probably want to draw any of that stuff. Again, this is pretty simple. I didn't really draw any eyelashes on here, and it still looks like an eye to me. The eyebrows will be above there, and then you're going to have another eye over on this side, symmetrical but opposite. And then this space in between that we can get into later. But for now, here's a real simple way to draw an eye, and it's really all about that circle. If you don't have a good beginning circle, your eyes might look a little bit funny. And if the pupil's not in the middle, it's going to look pretty bizarre too. So again, you want to have that circle, that center, eyelid, and then that folded part before you start any shading like that. So try this out at home. Good luck. And this marker cap thing is pretty neat. You just want to, again, rub some graphite on the edge of this, and then as you print it, twist it a little bit to get that off of there. So good luck, and I'll see you next time.